You don't want to be a square. You got to smoke drugs if you got them. You got to smoke them if you got them.
Oh, man. So we have Alex here from season 6 of the hit show 60 Days In. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Doing good, man. Holding up, trying to stay sane with this freaking quarantine, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So, Alex, was it the season finale that happened last night?
It was my last night on national television, unless Survivor pans out. So it was cool. It's been a fun ride.
So what do you think about the overall experience? Did you enjoy it? Would you do it again?
I did enjoy it. I actually would do it again. I do things a little bit differently this time. I think I'm a different person than last year when I went in. But overall, it was a great experience.
First of all, I want to say congratulations on your 90s days clean and sober, man. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, speaking of being a different person, like I was saying, do you want to talk through, how things were a little hectic, when you first went into intake, did training and all that stuff?
So I guess in regards to the clean and sober, I certainly wasn't when I went into jail. In fact, part of the reason that I looked so anxious during the training, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I wasn't nervous, because I'm sure to an extent all 4 of us were, but I also had 200 milligrams of Vyvanse pumping through my system. So when I'm all shaky and stuff, it's not just that I'm nervous. I'm just so stemmed up that
Sure.
for some reason I thought that taking that amount would make me like confident and cool when I went in there, but
it didn't work out that way though, did it?
Yeah. So I had an issue with that. I had a problem with alcohol before going into the show too. And so I think, being sober now, I definitely wish I had been before going in.
I remember you calling me, I think it was like the day before or 2 days before you went to rehab, and just saying like, hey, man, I have a problem. You seem like a guy I could talk to about it. And I'm glad you got help, though, man. I really am.
My mother had actually, I guess she had seen you just because she follows a lot of just recovery-based videos and people. And so she had seen you, and she actually was like, oh, do you remember this guy? He was on 60 Days In, but I hadn't watched Narcoland at the time. So I wasn't exactly sure who you were, but then I saw that and I was like, oh shit. And so I was like, I think it's a great idea to drunk text this guy the day before I go to rehab. So
yeah, I remember, it was a couple days before and you were saying you were nervous whether you should or not. And I'm glad you went through with it though, man. I'm super proud of you. So I didn't get to catch the episode last night. Was it just a reunion?
Yeah, so they did the reunion in like 2 parts. So the first part was all the phase 1 people, and then the second part last night was mostly the phase 2 people. It had a little bit of a phase 1 in it. I think I'd had like maybe 1 line the entire episode, but it was still cool to see. It was cool to see it all kind of wrap up. So, because I had no idea that there was even a phase 2 until we went up and filmed that.
Do you keep in contact with anybody that you met in jail, or is that just a chapter of your life you're keeping closed?
I mean, I definitely talked to the other participants. We all talk to each other. As far as actual inmates, I've reached out to a couple of them, mostly just to be like, hey, did you know I was undercover? Like, did I even remotely come close to seem like an inmate? And so I've talked to Dalton, who was my second cellmate, and then I talked to the guy who the whole radio thing happened with. And those are the only 2 that I've actually talked to. Dalton's doing well. Dalton's actually in recovery as well. And
Awesome.
He's a father now and husband and all that. So he's doing well. So it's good to hear from him.
That's good, man. So did they buy your story, or did they say, hey, I knew you were on the show the whole time?
Oh, they knew the whole time. I mean, there's literally one episode where Bones is like sitting there questioning me with a pen and paper. And I knew from start he knew. I feel like he was just kind of toying with me to see how I would answer. And it didn't help that one question I didn't even know what to say, so I just agreed with him. And then he was like, wait, I thought you said you did this. And I literally go, oh, I didn't know what you were talking about. So I said yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like now it's such a hard concept to pull off. Like any seasons of 60 Days In they do anymore, it's going to be very hard for people to pull that off, right? Because especially the people that have never been in jail or don't know how to act in jail, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb when there's a camera crew coming in and out every day talking to people, right? Like it's a hard thing to pull off anymore. The first season or 2, like they had the element of surprise. Oh, this is just a documentary. It's not, there's no twist to it, but now that's what people think. Anytime they see a camera crew in a jail, even when it's not, when it's a legit documentary.
The hardest part for me was the fact that they didn't give me any instruction on how to answer questions about like, well, why haven't you had a court date? Who's your lawyer? And all that. They gave me a cover story, but I had no experience of being.
So he's just questioning you hardcore here, huh?
He had like a pen and paper, dude.
He had a pen and paper with.
Literally writing it down. I was like, oh my Lord, dude.
Oh God. So was there any point in there that you were like, holy shit, like I might die or I might get beat up or attacked or anything? Was there any like extra scary moment, or did you feel like relatively safe given the circumstances most of the time?
I mean, I feel like each episode, like my whole plot line is like, Alex is gonna get raped, nothing happens. Alex is gonna get shit stolen, nothing happens. Alex is gonna get high and lose his mind on clone, and then it's just like totally sick. Like,
Yeah.
So no, I would say that the one time that I was like kind of like, oh shit, was with the commissary, because I had like $150 worth of store, and people were coming up to me saying like, oh, you know, you're a smaller white dude, blah blah blah, like you get your shit stolen. So that's when I took some of the money off the commissary and was like, all right, maybe I shouldn't.
So I wanted to go back to you doing drugs in jail. So clone, that's a word for like weed, right?
It's tobacco that they spray with God knows what kind of chemicals. I think it's like some sort of like roach spray or whatever. So it mirrors.
Oh shit! Like meth or something.
It's supposed to mirror like spice, you know, synthetic marijuana. So that's kind of, but they go by clone.
So tell me, what was your experience smoking clone like? Like, what was it actually like? What did you feel it? Did you not feel it? Did you go crazy? Did you eat any faces?
I certainly didn't eat any faces. It was like really shitty weed that you would get in like 8th grade or something, like mid.
Yeah,
like it gave me like
some horrible Mexican weed.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a tiny head rush, but like it almost was more like a cigarette than anything else. I mean, it's probably good that it was weak in hindsight, considering like I knew as soon as I was like, and you know, you're thinking that too. You're like 100% this is gonna make the edit. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay, let's check it out. Let's see Alex getting high in jail.
My new cellmates, Dalton and Bones, they are definitely participants in the drug issue that goes on in the jail. They smoke clone, which is tobacco sprayed with God knows what chemicals on it, and it makes me feel a little bit nervous. So I said, when in Rome, and I smoked the joint with them. I'm sorry, Mom.
What did your mom say about you smoking the drugs on national TV?
I mean, to be honest, she wasn't that surprised.
That sounds like my mom, man. Like if I would have went in back when I was still like causing my shenanigans, she'd been like, yep, that's him.
People were telling stories in my old cell about, oh, that'll make you, you know, eat people's faces off and, you know, go crazy. None of that happened. I didn't get a taste for human flesh. I just kind of was just buzzing.
Oh man.
You don't want to be a square. You gotta smoke drugs if you got them. You gotta smoke them if you got them.
Yeah. Oh man, Alex, I knew you'd be a good guy to have on here, man. You're funny. Like you said, dude, you gotta you want to fit in with the cool kids in jail. Apparently, you gotta smoke the drugs, you know. So, what was the difficulty with getting the drugs? Were they fairly easy to get in there, or did they have to trust you, or was it limited?
Dude, you literally have people going from like cell to cell, being like, "You want some ice?" And it's like it was that easy. So like you didn't even have to go look for it. It would come to you. Drugs were absolutely the worst problem in that jail was. Well, it's probably a tie between drugs and the incompetence of the COs.
Yeah, I did see some of that. Some of those COs on this season just like blew my mind how bad they were. Like I've had some bad COs in my past jail stays, but I've never had nothing quite like that, I don't think.
Well, there's two things I'll say about that. One, I mean, they're severely underpaid. I mean, I could go get a job working at McDonald's and make as much as they make for doing what is a dangerous job. And also, I mean, even in previous seasons of 60 Days In, there's never been a pod that was so overcrowded as one we were in. So you've got one officer for 150 guys.
Oh wow, yeah.
Like that's a big ask, you know?
Oh, seriously.
Not that it excuses some of their behavior by any means, but and the last thing I'll say to you, man, is I appreciate you having me on. I respect what you did for just being on the show, and I damn sure respect what you've done in recovery. Thank you for kind of being there for me at my low point and checking back in with me.
super proud of you for getting that 90 days, and then also being willing to share your story, man. You know, it takes a very strong person to be public with something like that. So,
well, have a good night, man. Thanks again for having me on.
absolutely, man. Take care, brother. See ya.
All right.